Come see us on tour in Dallas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, New York, Atlantic City, Levittown, Cohoes, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for the link for the cheapest tickets. Hey, so I don't know if you heard about this story. Iyah May, she's a singer from Australia, and she had a big dust-up over telling the truth in her music, right? So that's right up our alley. She had a song where she rails against Big Pharma, a man-made virus, cancel culture, and a war that she brands a genocide. I wonder what war that is. Erasing any doubt about the lyrical targets, May's website describes the track as addressing the pandemic narrative, corruption with political, pharmaceutical, and health institutions, the Israel-Palestine conflict, violence against women, and the social chaos that has swept through the world in the past few years. Well, guess what? Her management dropped her because she wouldn't change those lyrics. Well, she's here with us today. Please welcome Iyah May. Hey, Iyah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So tell me, what's the fallout from this? So now what your management, but the song got produced by a record label and it got released, correct?
I actually produced it myself with my music producer, Danny, and this is my first independent release because I left my record label.
Oh, really? So you released it yourself?
Yep.
Oh, so then maybe we can play it. Okay, so let me let's I'll play a little bit of it right now. Here we go. So there you go. That's some pretty gutsy lyrics. So tell me, where did that come from? Have you always been kind of socially relevant in your music? Was that a first try, or go ahead and let us know?
Yeah, not really. Honestly, it's kind of the first time I'm dabbling in that, and it's just been inspired by all the stuff that's going on in the world and all the chaos that's been going on in the last year and 5 years, I should say.
And so, how long had you been with your manager before they dropped you for this?
I think it was about a year.
Okay. And what was that conversation like when they wanted you to change the lyrics? What could you possibly change them to anyway? But what was that conversation like?
It was very black and white. It's like, if you don't change these lyrics, I can't work with you, so you need to change these lyrics. And I was like, well, I'm not changing your lyrics, so I guess we're not working together anymore.
And that was it?
And then there was threats from him to me and just all these hate messages and stuff. And then I cut it off because I was like, this is toxic. See you later.
So do you think that this actually had more of a what they call the Streisand effect here in the United States, that because of that actually got more attention to you? That's why I know about you, right? Because of that, your manager firing you.
I think it was all meant to be, blessing in disguise, and absolutely, yeah.
And so how is the song doing?
It's doing really well. It's my first indie release. So, I mean, it's almost got 3 million views on YouTube on the little lyric video I made. It's trending. It's been number 2 in iTunes Australia. It's just charting around the world. Like, I was really shocked how it was going to go. It's done a lot better than I thought. Yeah,
so it actually has worked out for you. Weren't you afraid that this would hurt your career because of, well, just what happened? Your manager dropped you, and this isn't good, and this isn't considered good business, is it?
I mean, yeah, I was afraid about my career, but I was also not. You know, artists should take risks and back their art, and every art is a risk because you're exposing part of yourself and you're being vulnerable and you're expressing what's inside of you. So it's like, what meant more to me was being truthful to what I wanted to say to other people.
Like a true artist, right? So why wasn't this released by why did you decide to do it independent and not try to go through a label?
I don't think this song would have seen a light of day in the way that it has if it was through a big organization. It just feels like at the time, intuitively, I needed to do this by myself with the tiny team I have, me and my producer. And life just happened that way, and I just kept following my gut in that sense. But like some labels are really great, some labels are so bad. So it's like, if you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen, you can kind of dilute your art and you can kind of lose it. And I didn't want that. I wanted to do just what my producer and I made in the studio that day together, what felt good, and put that out.
And so, how many albums have you released prior to this?
I released a few singles before this.
Oh, okay. So you're pretty new to the music business.
I am new, yeah, pretty fresh.
And it's great that so you can self-produce. You don't need a gatekeeper. You're number 2 on iTunes. You have 2 or 3 million views on YouTube. That's the beauty of today. That's why I can do this show, right? Because I would never have been allowed to do this show on any corporate news or any corporate entertainment channel. There's no way so that's the beauty of right now. Don't you feel happy to be just getting into the music business at this time of the world?
It's amazing. We're in the era of independent artists and speakers, and although there's censorship and silencing going on, there's still so much in the way of supporting people speaking up. This is the time for it, for sure.
And you have a new manager, right?
Yeah, well, I'm working with someone new. We'll see how it goes. Just seeing how everything's going.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think that someone with the number 2 song on iTunes would have a hard time getting representation, but again, it's a crazy business. But you did it. Is there anything else? Is there any questions I didn't ask you wish I would have asked?
Do you have any other cool questions? I can't think of any.
Okay, no, it's been. I'm a big fan of Australia. What part of Australia do you live in?
I'm in Sydney at the moment. I'm from Northern Australia, from a little tiny town, but I'm in Sydney at the moment for music.
Oh, okay, great. Now, I'm a big fan. I spent 3 weeks in Melbourne there a while ago, and it's just a fantastic country. Our show is very popular there, and we're trying to set up a tour right now ourselves in Australia. So, by the way, so you lived through COVID, obviously, in Australia. Was it personally hard for you? Was it a nightmare? Were you surprised at the draconian measures your government took to impose on people?
I was surprised. And I mean, I worked as a doctor in the emergency centres during COVID, but I was also in Queensland. I wasn't in Sydney and Melbourne. But I was surprised about all the stuff going down, and especially in Melbourne, that was like one of the worst in the world. That was pretty bad for a lot of people's mental health, for sure.
When you say you worked as a doctor, you mean you worked as a medical doctor?
Yeah.
So I'm also a doctor. You're also a doctor?
Yeah.
Get out of here. You look pretty young to be a doctor. Let me just say that. But anyway, I thought, how long did you have to go to medical school in Australia?
6 years. And then a year of internship. And then you do your residency, and then you do a bunch of years on top of that. So it's a commitment for sure.
And so what made you decide to take the dive? I mean, didn't you always have the music bug in you when you were in medical school?
No, honestly, I didn't. I didn't know I was going to do music or anything creative. I was fully down the science path. And then in the last year, I was like, really want to do something in addition to all this. And I absolutely love singing, but nobody knows that. And I'm just going to take the jump. So
really? That's kind of amazing.
It's great.
Wow. That's quite a story. You were a medical doctor. So as a medical doctor during COVID, did you know that most of what, were you hip to the lack of science behind what they were telling everybody?
Well, I was trying to work it out as well. I mean, I think we all were. I was just feeling things were strange, though, and a lot of it didn't make sense. It wasn't a great time, that's for sure.
And did you see people get censored and lose their jobs who spoke against the official establishment COVID narrative?
I did. Yep, I actually did. Yeah, some of my friends lost their jobs, and hectic.
And what's the vibe now in Australia? Are people is anybody going to be held accountable for the for being the dupes of, for doing the bidding of big pharma instead of looking out. I mean, they were putting people in quarantine camps. I mean, it got really draconian in Australia.
Yeah, and I think that was, it's mostly in Melbourne. Sydney was pretty bad too. I was fortunate to be in Queensland where I just avoided a lot of it. But yeah, look, people suffered, and I think we should really consider how we take on these public health measures in the future and really think about a lot of other things. A lot of people's mental health went really, really down.
Yeah, so the things they did to try to, treat the COVID pandemic turned out to be way more injurious in a lot of people's eyes. Certainly lockdowns had the opposite effect. They created a lot more damage than and of course there's been the studies from Stanford and other places that they created more pain than they helped. They didn't stop the spread of the COVID virus because everybody got it. So it was kind of pointless, right?
Yeah, and I think if it ever happens again, people are going to be a lot less likely to take on that advice.
Do you have are you guys fighting the bird flu in Australia?
I don't know, are we?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I don't see any of that. Maybe we are, but I'm just that musician in a studio making beats all day. Nah, I'm not sure. I haven't really seen much on bird flu, but I'd be surprised if people are taking that on board. I think especially after COVID, people are going to be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, well, they're as they call it, culling chickens, and they've killed millions of chickens. So they're creating a food shortage on purpose here in the United States, and people can't get eggs. And for some reason, bird flu only affects cows and chickens, but no one's killing the owls or killing the ducks or killing the geese. They're just killing chickens, and they want to get rid of cows. And so to me, it's a big, I don't mean to be too conspiratorial, but I'm sure Bill Gates has his filthy fingers in this, just like he had during COVID, because he was really the biggest funder to the WHO and the big investor into Pfizer. But we don't need to get into all that. But look out for the bird flu. It's coming. If it's here and it's in Canada, it's coming to Australia, believe me. Iyah May, I really appreciate you taking time to talk to us, and congratulations on your success.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been good.
Okay. See you. I'll see you when we're in Australia.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Come see us on tour in Dallas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, New York, Atlantic City, Levittown, Cohost, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for the link for the cheapest tickets.